There we go.
Let me make sure we live on my end, unless y'all can tell me we live. I don't know why they
Yeah,
do this shit.
it said live.
Okay. Y'all
Mm-hmm.
will be right back.
Okay. Yeah, I see it, Kofi.
Okay.
Let's go.
Yeah, I'm in the city here. I'm in the spot. In the vicinity. I'm the hottest up in the city. Yeah, I'm real here. He's the one that was in the city. That ain't been attacked. Talking about Griots. What's African? Spit song. Neo. Let's get about the Afro Latino. Such as spit song. Let's face it, take to the ancestors. And another story to the point of the
Yo, yo.
Let's go.
All right. Welcome to the Griot Podcast.
Episode 5.
Um, Go ahead.
Not Lakers in 5. Episode 5.
Yeah. Episode 5, season 3.
Come on, bro.
Season
Three
3.
piece. Three-piece
Yes,
spicy.
yes.
No
But
biscuit.
yes,
Biscuit
sir.
me. Biscuit me. Don't play with me.
Why is everybody always talking about a 3-piece spicy, bro?
No, man. It's just funny. It's funny.
Give me the
I know
two piece.
everybody in
2 piece
Louisiana say
original.
that. Everybody in Louisiana say a 3-piece spicy.
That's the
Yeah,
way
they
what
must
you said?
know about what is that? Southern classic chicken.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
sounds familiar.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. They must know about that. If they're talking about that
You
3
said
piece,
you said 2 piece, Doc? You said 2 piece?
just 2
Maybe.
piece.
The 2 pieces?
2
But
piece and 2 peppers. 2 piece
you
and 2
and 2
peppers.
peppers? You a dark girl or a white girl? Dark or the white?
Come on now. We like
Dark or the
that
white?
dork. We like that dork situation.
Ooh, that thigh meat. That thigh meat. That thigh meat.
Oh,
Come on
crazy.
now.
Come on, man. The Griots Podcast. We in here.
Yeah. Let our sister, we go be gentlemen. Let our sister introduce herself first.
That's right. Come on, the Queen Bee.
Hey, yo, feeling good, feeling great today. You guys are in for a treat. I can't wait till we drop this. So, my name is Dr. Ashley Wade. I have many roles. Let me do Kofi. Many roles. I am a pharmacist. I'm an author. 1/3 of this fantastic Griots podcast. Let me see what else. Community and literacy advocate, book club curator. I'm in the places. Well, my face is in the place. I'm that type of girl. And just recently, you can call me chief executive of a silly magazine. Happy to be here. Shout out to Kofi. Shout out to the home team. Doing big things. Doing big
All
things.
hail the chief. All hail
Doing
the
big
chief.
things.
Big
What up?
teams.
What
Big
up?
Hail
What up?
the
teams.
chief. Hail the chief.
Big teams. Big
Yeah,
teams.
yeah.
All right. I am Kofi Piche. I am a host of this phenomenal podcast, the Griot Podcast, as well as the host of the Warrior Scholar Podcast as well. I am a writer, an author, a ghostwriter, a publisher, uh, a public speaker, a music producer, uh, nonprofit organization leader, um, owner of Excel Magazine, owner of Same Tree Different Branch Publishing, as well as Same
Come on,
Tree
man.
Different Branch
Come on,
Media
Black Power.
Company,
Stop
uh,
Come on,
playing.
Black Power.
amongst other things. Amongst other things.
Well, after COVID has said all of that, I guess I am Sean P.
Nah, ain't no guessing.
I am Sean P. of the Sean P. Experience. I am the host of the literary podcast, Sean P. Experience. I am 1/3 of the amazing Griots Podcast, public speaker, community curator, educator, amongst many other things. We have a phenomenal show lined up for y'all. We ain't and no gas on this one. It'll be a good one.
Yes. Y'all, please, man, like and share this show. Please like and share this show. Real quick, let me see if I got it while I got it. Let me go to it. I like to read before we get started. Let's talk about the outline of the Griot Podcast so people know what they're getting themselves into in this podcast. The opening segment, we always want to honor a teacher, a scholar, a writer, an author, a revolutionary from the past or the present. That segment is followed up by our fellow modern day griot, Shanathan Palador. Uh, the Griots and Griotis segment. We just always want to continue to inform people what a griot or a griotis is. And that is by a fellow griot, myself, Kofi Piche. The commercial segment briefly promote our books, products, or anybody else that needs to be promoted. Discussion segment. This segment we will be discussing or diving into. Oh Lord. We'll be diving into Tamika D. Mallory's book, I Live to Tell the Story, the memoir of love, legacy, and resilience. And following after that, we have the woman segment, which is, again, I'll keep reiterating, is one of my favorite segments. And that is where my sister, our fellow Grioti, modern day Grioti, Dr. Ashley Wade, will always be presenting this woman segment. It is to briefly talk and give flowers to women who have contributed something of value to the political world, writing world, author world, business world, medical world, or the academia world. So that is the outline for today's Griot Podcast Season 3, Episode 5. So we'll go straight into the segment of by our brother Sir Nathan Palador.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So today's honoring the ancestors segment, because we're all talking about Black women in social movements, Black women in these societies and social clubs. I wanted to highlight a very important sister not talked about enough, Henrietta Benton Davis. She was a very major player in Marcus Garvey UNIA movement. A lot of us know about Marcus Garvey and some of the other things that came after the UNIA movement. We won't talk enough about the women that played prominent key roles in pushing that society forward, especially after he was incarcerated and he was sitting off in the exile, things like that. The women kept that thing going long after he passed. They kept the baton going, right? So Henrietta Benton Davis, from 1860 through 1941, was a trailblazing African-American speaker, Shakespearean actress, and a playwright. She brought classical theater to Black audiences and used performance as political expression. Kind of like Ryan Coogler, right? Mm-hmm. She was Marcus Garvey's right hand. She became one of the highest ranking women in the UNIA movement, serving as an international organizer and later as Secretary General. She was a key strategist in the Garvey's global movement for Pan-Africanism. And thirdly, I would say, she was an advocate for Black sovereignty. Davis fiercely championed the cause of Black self-determination. She helped draft the Declaration of Rights of the Negro people of the world in 1920 and co-signed efforts to establish an independent African nation for the diaspora, right? So I'm going to leave it at that because the show is so good today. I don't want to spend too much time on the first segment, but I learned about her. There's an entire chapter on her in this book. I'm going to back it up a little bit for the glare. This is The Efficient Womanhood, Women and the Making of the UNIA Movement. I had this author coming on the Sean P. Experience months ago, but she had a family emergency. We had to push the show back. So I will have an entire hour-long podcast with the author of this book. But this is an amazing book, filled. Every chapter is one particular woman, filled with amazing women in the UNIA movement. So women in social justice, women all about being on the forefront of these movements. You definitely want to check this out.
Yes,
I gotta get it. I gotta have it. I gotta have it. Gotta have that one.
Hey, this is yours. You're looking at it. This is yours. It's already done.
Preach. Because that's something I need.
You know what I'm saying? Dr. Wade. Dr. Wade.
And please, y'all, please go look up.
Yeah.
Go look up UNIA, and the different extensions the women had, the powerful roles that the women had inside the UNIA. It was a lot of great women who came out of that movement, in general. So go look the UNIA and go look up the different extensions, the roles that the women played within that organization with Marcus Garvey and other great ones.
I did want to say one thing, Kofi. The reason why I got this book is because on the BET series called The Porters, it's all about the Pullman porters, right? They had
Yes,
the Black Cross nurses in that
yes,
series.
they did.
I thought it was just something for the TV show. I didn't know it was a real thing. So over the
Yes,
past 3 or 4 years, I started digging more and more into the Black Cross nurses, and she
yes,
was the one that pretty much spearheaded and organized the Black Cross nurses. So for all our medical folks out there, you in the nursing field. I asked so
mhm.
many black nurses if they ever heard of Black Cross nurses. None of them ever heard of Black Cross nurses. So I definitely advise you to go out there and dig into your black people in your field.
Speak.
Yes, and also on this channel, it may be 3 or 4 years ago. You can go back in the archives. I talk about Marcus Garvey and the UNIA and how this man had over 1 million chapters. And this was before the internet. This was before cell phones. And I go in depth on the women's role that was
Mm.
played within the UNIA. So I talk deeply about the Black Cross nurses. I show pictures. We like to see pictures too. We like to hear you talk about it, but let's see it. So I show tons of pictures of the different roles that the women played within the UNI. I
Mm,
can't remember exactly the name of the
I
thing,
gotta
but
go
just
find that.
and then
Right.
you'll see Marcus Garvey. Hmm.
Thank you.
Uh all right. Welcome, Celeste, too. Welcome, Celeste. Welcome, Celeste. I see Sister
My girl.
Celeste.
Hey Celeste, what's going on,
All
sis?
right.
How you doing? And my man Tim in the chat. What's up,
Yes,
Tim?
brother Tim, I don't even want to mispronounce Mentingator or Muntingator. Shout out to you. I apologize as I'm saying your name wrong. Peace to okay, Dear B is on as well. She is abominable book girl. Shout out to her. We always want to acknowledge the people who are in the chat.
As my people. Book,
Right.
book,
Facts,
book,
facts,
book.
facts.
Right, right. So shout out to y'all. Shout out to y'all. That's quite a few other people that's not popping on. We have 8 people in watching right now.
Thank you.
Please speak. Let us know where you're from. Please like and share the show. I guarantee that y'all gonna enjoy this section. But let's get into the segment, the Griot segment. Before we get into this discussion, we have to go through these segments. So a Griot, what is a Griot and what is a Griotes? We represent them in the modern day aspect. We are all modern day griots and griotes. So what is a griot and a griot? Is it unique to West African, a griot or griote or jelly professional encompass many roles. A griot or griotes or have been referred to as historians and storytellers, but there are no real words in the English language that includes all of their functions. And I'm going to say that again. There is no real words in the English language that includes all of their functions. Then a traditional griot or griotis could do everything from recounting history to encompassing music to teaching students to acting as a diplomat. They are genealogists, historians, spokespeoples, ambassadors, musicians, teachers, warriors, interpreters, praise singers, masters of ceremonies, advisors, negotiators, and mediators. Not all griots or griotes does all of these things, but these are all examples of functions the griot or griotes professionally embodies. So
Now,
now,
Kofi,
mhm.
I got a small commercial break. I know Dr. Wade has seen the movie Sinners. Tell us about the role of the griot and the praise dances and what have we in a film like Sinners to demonstrate.
Yo, it's a whole situation. I love the integration and the visualness of seeing the griot in the space because, again, like Kofi said, in our book, we just don't put ourselves in those roles. We don't know about it. We don't put ourselves in those roles. So in the movie, it was beautiful to be like, yes, like remind us about us. That's really what that was for me. It was a reminder about who we are. Without us, maybe you didn't read it in the book, maybe you watched the movie, but now you can be reminded and supported by the Griots podcast of the things in the way that you are. This is who we are. So no matter if you're a teacher, any of those roles that Kofi listed, like we are broad like that. And so it was beautiful to see that part in the movie,
On the
but
big screen? Come on, man.
on the big screen, especially with the music and the dancing.
Oh,
But
the
even
music, man. They play on the drums. They
instantly it's just like the broadness of it. Like it's
It was
not
so
just
spiritual.
music. Go ahead. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
No doubt, no doubt. I still hadn't seen the movie.
Kofi.
As
I
they
thought
say,
I was
shame
late.
on you. Shame on you.
I
And
thought
what
I
you
was late, and I was what 2 weeks. I didn't see it for like at least a week after it came out. But like Kofi,
well, here here and we'll move on. Like I was explaining to Sean, the second week, me and my wife was supposed to go see it on a Monday. Something happened where we weren't able to go see the movies, and the movies here is only shown on Mondays at 4 p.m. So we can't go on a Tuesday, we can't go on a Wednesday, or Thursday, or Friday, or Saturday, or a Sunday to see it. It's only showing one time here, and that's on Monday at 4
oh
p.m.
Kofi,
to 4 p.m. Yeah, it's crazy. So it's been kind of hard, and I don't even think it's at the movies right now as we speak. I don't think it stayed up there but a few weeks, and it's gone. So I'm gonna have to wait
No,
till it comes out stream, and I have to pay that little $19.99 to see the movie.
you got to. Not, that's a whole different conversation. We're gonna move on. But when it comes to our black films being, what's the word you want to use? Like they got a certain amount in the box office, right? As far as the numbers and all that. But you think about places like this where it's only showing certain days, certain times, and they're only keeping it for a certain amount of weeks. But other movies you showing at all these different times, all these different days of the week, all these different screens, like it's very skewed when you look at these box office numbers and stats and all this other kind of stuff. It's a big old game, man.
So
We saw Birth of a Nation with Nat Parker, Birth of a Nation. Saw the same thing.
Mhm.
Only at certain movie theaters, the same game over and over again, bro. They don't change their tactics, dog.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I just said I'm just gonna wait till it come. And my daughter, my 14-year-old daughter, she wants to see it. So soon as they start streaming, I'm gonna pay whatever they want for it so we can watch it as a family.
it's gonna be
Um,
beautiful,
yeah,
beautiful, beautiful.
yeah, yeah, yes. So real quick before we get into the discussion, let's go to the commercial segment. Real quick. And reach out to us if you want anything promoted on here. Just let us know. We'll promote your brand. We'll promote your new book. We'll promote your service. We'll promote your new event. That you got coming up. Just hit either me, Sean, or Dr. Wade up, and we'll
We'll cut you a commercial, Uncle. We'll do a commercial for you. Commercial drop. That's
yeah,
a new service, commercials.
yeah, we got you. We definitely a commercial drop whatever you have. But
That just happened. We got commercials. We got commercials. That just happened.
yep. So real quick, let's go to um a book that I'm proud of. Let me throw it up on the screen though. I want to throw it up here.
Throw that
Yeah.
thing up there. Throw that thing in a circle.
And it's
Actually,
But that's if you
woo.
don't have this book, please go get Acting on Your Dreams and Vision book. We put this book out. Has it been a year? I don't even think it's been a total year. It's
it
probably
has been
close.
a
It's coming
year.
up.
Yeah, yeah.
It's coming up. It's coming
Yeah,
up.
it's coming up to a
As a
year.
matter of fact, you know what? We did the classes in the summertime. Remember that? It was last
Yeah.
summer. We did the classes.
Uh-huh. And Celeste, I think peace shout out to Celeste. Celeste was it Celeste? One of the ones that was involved in the rollout that spoke. I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
okay. Shout out to
yeah.
Celeste for that as well. But we definitely proud of this book, man. We definitely proud of this book. We did a lot of things with this book, man. We did the classes, we did the audio book, we did the handbook. With this, it was received pretty well. We kind of got some
Yeah,
we got some
yeah.
good feedback from the
That's
book.
right.
So if you don't have it, please go get Acting on Your Dreams and Visions right now. The handbook, go out
Come
and
on
get
now.
the handbook, Acting on
Yeah,
Your Vision handbook. It
yeah,
complements the main book. So, and this book was also involved in the classes. You had
yeah.
to have the main book and the workbook to be involved in the classes. And we're in discussion, about maybe bringing the class back. I know I enjoyed myself. I had
Same.
fun with the class.
Yes.
So hopefully we'll bring that Acting on Your Dreams and Vision class back this summer, maybe. Um, also, the audio book. If you don't have the audio book, we also have an audio book for those who don't. I hate to say this out loud for those who don't like to read, but if
Come
you
on
have
now.
the audio, go get the audio book. It is narrated by our brother and
B.
sister
Lewis.
Steve Lewis and Flo Davis. They did
Hello.
a superb job with
Yes.
this audio narration of this book, man. So
Yeah.
you got go tap into that. Go get all of it. I ain't gonna
And
say go get all. Go ahead.
I want to say the summertime is upon us. They're getting out of school. All the parents out there, all the homeschoolers, you got an after school program, a summer program. These are great materials to use with your teens, your young adults. These are tools. The questions are already there. The activities are already there. You just have to curate that thing. Huh?
Yes.
That's it.
Uh, so let's get into the discussion at hand, y'all.
Ashley,
We discussion segment, right? The discussion segment.
let's do it.
We're
Let's
gonna
do
be
it.
talking about a book that our beautiful sister recommended
Yes.
um for this episode, and that is Tamika D. Mallory's book. I Live to Tell the Story, a
Yes, she
memoir
did.
of love, legacy, and resilience, right?
Amazing. Amazing book.
Amazing book, amazing book, amazing book.
I give it a 5. I give it a
You give it
5.
a I give it a 5. I
I give
give
it a
it a 5.
5.
I
I got no
give it a 5.
problem.
Yes. So, real quick before we get into it, I want to, give the page numbers, the copyright,
Mm-hmm.
audio. Hold on one
Mm-hmm.
second, y'all. Give me 1 second. Hold on.
I'm gonna keep it going.
All right.
So I did the audio version for this particular podcast, and I'm gonna say that Tamika Mallory did her own narration, which I love whenever they do their own reading. She did a phenomenal job with the narration. Amazing job. And her first book, State of Emergency, I want to go and grab that. And hopefully she read that herself as well.
Yeah, let me know how that goes. I'm glad, that she did narrate her own book. I
Yes,
wonder
she
how
did.
tough that was, getting through some of those spots.
Yeah, that was real tough. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to check that out. I'm glad that she
Yep.
narrated herself.
Yes, she did.
Yeah, she narrated herself. She had a few other people to come in,
Yep.
which I
Some
think
some
is
little,
dope.
some little guest some little guest spots. That was a pretty cool addition.
Little guest spots on there as
Mm-hmm.
well.
Yep.
But the title of the book again is I Live to Tell the Story, a memoir of love, legacy, and resilience by the author Tamika D. Mallory. Paperback length is 287 pages. So this book has a total of 287 pages. Um, our copyrighted date is in 2025. Publishing by Simon and Schneider's a publishing company. Audiobook link is 13 hours and 21 minutes. Narrated again, like Sean and said, by Tamika D. Mallory. A couple of lit spots here and there of her friends.
Yep.
Uh, did a few lit narration spots in there.
Mm-hmm.
About the author, Tamika Mallory, real quick, is a trailblazing social justice leader, an activist, and co-founder of the Women's March. Right, she had a lot. Oh man, that was rough. Starting something. We're gonna get into all that with the Women's March
Yeah.
because I definitely talk about that and some of the things that she went through. So I did both. I did the book and I did the audio book. There's something that I love that Sean introduced me to, and that is immerse reading, right? So I love to put the headphones on, listen to the
Mm-hmm.
audio, and read the book in the same at the same damn time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
It's definitely good for focus and concentration, man.
yes, it's definitely good for focus and finishing a book, faster that way. I'm a slow reader, and by this way I'm able to finish a book, you know what I'm saying? In a timely manner, I would say, especially when you doing something with a group of people. It ain't just on you. You can take your
Yeah.
time with it, but when you
Yeah, that's right.
somebody, you want to get straight through that. Celeste, she has the Kindle
The
version.
Kindle version. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's get into the
I would
stuff.
love, I would love Dr. Wade to tell us, like, every month, for those that don't know, we take turns, like, man, what's the next month topic going to be? And so I want to know, what audience want to know, Dr. Wade, why was this a selection for you?
Thank you for asking, Sean. I mean, the book just came out, right? It just came out, and I thought I knew about her. So I was like, oh, I thought it would be great to find out who she is. Her book has been out some months. It came out 2025. It's been out for a couple of months, so it is fairly new. But I was just like, wow. I knew that she had some relationship or affiliation to Black Lives Matter, to that movement. And I was like, okay, if she's telling her story, it's definitely time to tap in, especially at a time like this when it seems like we're scrambling to try to figure out what to do, what people are saying, what's next, how we organize, because that's the biggest thing. Everybody's like, organize. Okay, but like, how we gonna organize? And not only that, looking to people who have the experience of organization, seeing what not only they did, but what their life was like and what their people skills was like and what their childhood was like. Because again, we love to like qualify people for certain roles. And in her life, she wasn't she qualified herself. So even just bringing forth personal stories, how people got into the work, because that's always the question, like, how did you get started? And that would be my first questions for her. How did you get started in the work? So this book definitely answered that question. And I think the gift of this memoir is just knowing about her childhood. And I can't even hold you. We'll get into it a lot, but it was resonating. Like, she grew up at the time where we were growing up in the 80s and 90s. So, you know, a lot of the same things that happened to her are universal of that time frame. Lots of people were going through that, especially speaking from the perspective of a young Black girl. Like, come on, we gonna relate to this. I'm 42, she's just 44. So our stories are different, but they're similar. And so I appreciate Sean for being like, this is the book that he would recommend to women and young girls, because her story is very relatable. And plus, she's an excellent writer. I'm so glad we tapped in. It was not a hard book to read because she's a freaking phenomenal writer. So that now I'm like, oh, let me tap into her first book. So I thought this would be a great time to tap into some organization and some lessons from this beautiful Black woman, Tamika Mallory. And again, I just looked at her as being a part of Black Lives Matter. I didn't even know she was connected to like the women's movement. So I'm like, I learned so much, and that's what we need to do instead of assuming and depending only on media. We need to learn and like find out the truth and be truth seekers, so we can really be not only connected but engaged with people in our community, and we can learn and empathize with people in our community.
Yes. I'm glad you said she's a phenomenal writer. You know, and we'll get into it, but I know some of these
Mm-hmm.
people that's in the forefront, they get other people to write for them. So it's not really them writing, it's other people's writing. They're taking their sitting in these segments with them, and as they discussing their recording and whatever the process. People have different process when it comes to ghostwriting or writing a book. So I'm very appreciative. What I'm saying, she took the time to sit down and tell her story herself, and not let anybody else be involved in the process, which she did when it comes to the editing process. But far as writing the full manuscript herself, what I'm saying, I'm proud of her for doing that. And, she's definitely a phenomenal writer. And I know it took a lot of courage, what I'm saying? It took a lot of strength, what I'm saying, for her to write this book, because she went through so many different things in her lifetime. So I like how she shared her ups and her downs. Like, she had a lot of downs, what I'm saying? She went through a lot of traumatic or trauma events. So I know that was just hard in itself, just sitting down and writing this stuff out, and then being vulnerable to tell everybody, especially when she said she was broke, didn't have but had $400. But we're gonna get into that, man. We're gonna get into her entire story. But
And then too, y'all, I want to say this too about the title selection. She lived to tell the story. So many of our leaders can't say that. And we're gonna, and then Celeste pointed out today is the anniversary of George Floyd's death. Like, here we are, like, this is the reality of what's going on, where our people, especially the activists, because they, regular people in our community are being gunned down. And so for her to be an activist, you know what I'm saying, have done the work and used her voice in the way that she has, and to live to tell the story, because besides her, I think there's Angela, like there's some other people who live to tell their story too. But I think it's a beautiful call out. Not enough of us have lived to tell the story, especially in the work, in the movements that we've been able to see and witness. And plus, the movements that she's talking about, that's within our lifetime. She's not talking about history as far as civil rights, which we know how important that is. but she's talking about things that she like in our lifetime within the past couple of years that she's been involved in.
You know what, Ashley? You just said that you jogged my memory. How many activists was it from the Mike Brown murder? They were activists, and they got murdered mysteriously one at a time after that. And then in the book, when they call you a terrorist, she speaks about in that book different things that was happening, attempts on her life,
Mm.
and different federal agents busting up in your house at 2 a.m, guns out.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're not
Yeah.
guaranteed to live this thing.
Speak of words.
When you live that life. So that title, I Live to Tell the Story, there are so many points in the book where she couldn't have lived.
Right.
Yep.
So that was a very amazing title right there.
Yep.
Speak
You
of
know what I'm
words.
saying?
That's
Yeah,
a word.
especially in Kentucky. You know what I'm saying? Especially in when they was down there in
Hey,
Kentucky.
Breonna Taylor. Yep.
Mhm. Yeah, yep. And but yeah, let's get into it. Y'all notice too, like in chapter 1, and in some of her chapters, they kind of named after, hip hop songs or hip hop.
Mm.
So I like how she started off chapter 1. It's called "What's
Good
Going
call.
On."
Good
That's so,
call, Kofi.
so, and this song was synonymous with the movement. You know what I'm saying? Back in the days,
Yeah. What's
you
going
know,
on?
what's going on
Going
was
on.
synonymous with it, right? So I like how she opened up the first chapter with the
Mm.
title chapter "What's Going On." It's a reference to the Marvin Gaye classic "Protest." This was a protest song. This was a song when we got our songs when we getting ready to get in our mood and our zone for whatever particular reason. This was a song, a classic song for people who was out there on the front line. You know what I'm saying? Protesting. So this was a
Yeah.
protest song. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So I like how it set the stage. You know what I'm saying for her book because she was and she still is an activist, right? You know what I'm saying? So it set the stage for systematic injustice and personal awakening, right? In the early consciousness of the
And
social issues growing up in Harlem.
I want to talk about that in her early life, man. I love in most biographies and memoirs, the first 2 or 3 chapters, you find out who that person's parents were. You
Mm-hmm.
find out who that person's family were.
Mm-hmm.
And you see that she was pretty much birthed in the activism at an early age. She had the power in her voice at an early age. Her family, her household allowed her to grow her voice. Kind of like the Michelle Obama book, you find out about her parents and her childhood. They was able to have a certain voice with the adults at the table. So you see them having that fearless spirit as adults. That was cultivated from an early age. And I love hearing the way her household was structured from a very early age, man.
Yeah,
Facts,
well,
facts, facts.
yeah, let's talk about it. She at the age of 12 years old. I mean, she was exposed to so many different things. She running around the house at 12 years old, talk about power to the people. Power to the people. She had a sense of what that term actually means, power to the people. Her mother and father was very involved in community activities and rallies and protests. So this was a family function. On Saturdays, she talk about they would all leave the apartment and walk down to the different protests and to the different rallies and stuff and be involved in the different rallies, and her father sitting on the couch and listen to some of our scholars from the past. You know what
I
I'm saying?
love that part.
You know what I'm saying? So
He playing Miss Louis Farrakhan.
right,
He playing Khalid Muhammad. He
yeah,
playing Malcolm X, amongst
yeah,
others. Having that
yeah,
in the household at all given times, hitting that subconscious mind, you're
yeah.
being inundated with these thought leaders and that kind of black pride, black
Mm-hmm.
authority. And then the kind of books around the house. She lists some of
Yes,
the books they had
yes,
laying around the house, and magazines and journals,
yes.
periodicals, newspapers. Her daddy, look at this, the power of watching your daddy all the time reading.
Mm-hmm.
Speak, speak, speak.
Yep, yep. Sit on
You
the couch.
see your daddy all the time reading. The power in that, bro.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Facts,
And one thing blew me away. What made me love her after that was she was talking about at an early age her going to some of the rallies, and she went to Dr. Ben, you know what I'm saying, Dr. Yosef Ben Jockanen, you know what I'm saying, who was referred to as Dr. Ben. So Dr. Ben is one of the persons who changed my whole perspective, my whole worldview, and actually changed my life. This book here Black Man on the Nile and His Family. This was one of Dr. Ben's books that changed my life completely. I'm telling you, changed my life. Then, I went on to reading I Need a Need for a Black Bible, The Black Man's Religion, Volume 3. The Black Man North of East Africa by Dr. Ben. The Myth of Genesis and Exodus, and the exclusives of their African origins, right, by Dr. Ben. So, and I got tons of other books. This man wrote, I'm talking about 30 to 40 books.
Prolific.
Prolific. And I think the Nation of Islam has an archive
Yes, they
of
do.
all of his books right
Yes.
now. So,
Yes.
so that blew me away when she said how she went and sat and watched Dr. Ben speak, and how Dr. Ben spoke, and how people went crazy after he spoke, during this rally, man, and I said, man,
And Kobe, I gotta say, I told you and Dr. Wade this in private, but I want to say it for the pod. Out of all the books I've read as far as national books, I've never seen that man's name spoken in a book before like this. We see
right.
what self-published, independent published work, stuff like that, people in the know. But as far as the mainstream book like this, to have that man name, I feel so proud when I saw that. I felt so proud when I saw that man. Like, bro, I really, really respect that, man.
And that let you know too how deep they were into it. This wasn't surface level people. Like, her exposure was deep. The things that she was listening to and reading about, like, it was deep at an early age. And one thing I wanted to say that I learned about early in the book, because this book is heavy on relationships. Heavy on relationships. She speaks about the relationship between her mom and her dad. Two-parent household, okay? Grew up in the projects, but yet sheltered. Her parents were very intentional on keeping her and her sister decent. You know what I'm saying? Because we all understand the whole idea of falling victim to the project and poverty, that whole mindset and that posture. We all understand that. So I understand her parents being like, yeah, we're teaching you, we're helping you learn, we're helping shaping your psyche, but we also want you to be well and safe, and we want you to make it out of this phase, the early phases of your life, because we can all look back on our life, like those first formative years from K through high school. Listen, some of us is glad we made it. You see what I'm saying? So, like, the fact that she has her parents in the way that they formed and shaped her, it shaped the way that she grew up and her interactions with people. But I want to say this too. In chapter 5, she starts talking about teenage love, but she gave her dad his flowers. And I just, Father's Day is coming up, and, we just need to give more flowers to fathers and dads who are impactful in these children's lives in whatever way, whether it's only you provide, whether you provide emotional support, whether you are chalant. Let's talk about the chalant fathers. You know what I'm saying? But let me read this real quick, because she said, the Bible tells us that love is both patient and kind. Again, she's talking about relationships. She said, in life, my dad was the personification of both. He demonstrated patience and kindness through the gift of his time. So I just wanted to, she said, on more occasions than I can remember, he gave his time and showed me I was worthy of love. So yes, she's getting all the knowledges that she's exposed to, but she's also exposed to the love. Let's talk about it, of her parents. Even though, her formative years, she did her thing. We'll talk about it. But I love that early on in the book, she was like, she witnessed love in her household, and she especially witnessed love from her father. And I just wanted to make sure that I sprinkle that energy on the dads and the fathers in the building.
Yeah, and and shout out to her parents, you know what I'm saying, for being married, long as they've been married. And one thing that she talked about too, with showing the love, seeing the love in the household, that their parents wasn't quitters. Like the divorce rate is at an all-time high right now. You know what I'm saying? Any signs of trouble,
Get into it.
We out of there. You know what I'm saying? And I'll be a man to say I'm one of those guys that has been. I'm on my third marriage. You know what I'm saying? And I at one particular time I didn't mind running You know what I'm saying? But
See,
it's for better or for worse, right? So, I respect that part, you know what I'm saying? As her parents, she talked about how her parents, they did have their ups and downs, but her father and her mother, they always stayed and they always worked it. You know what I'm saying? They always worked it out. You know what I'm saying? They did not give up like majority of them. But even when you look at that particular time, in those times,
talk about it.
marriage was a sacred thing. So you got people, most of our grandparents, you know what I'm saying, stayed married till they pass. It's like later on in time when divorce started to get an all-time high. But that was through, I believe, through a lot of other different influences. And I'm saying through media. And I'm saying even before the internet and social media, we had TV. So there was painting pictures of our women being promiscuous, not even just through the music. Even when we reading some of our historical texts, it says how our black women are promiscuous and can't sit down with one man, or the black man is lazy, and the one, just so, and then so many different things to divide. Because she also, I think in the book, she talks about how the man was ostracized outside of the house when particular things that was going on, like it's escaping my mind at the time, when women are able to get free food from the government, get assistance,
The
you know what I'm
wig,
saying,
yeah,
with
yeah.
house and with the WIC and certain things like that. The men had to be outside of the household in order for the woman to get these particular things. So the black man was exiled out of the
They
black
better
family.
not. They better not find no shoes over there. They
Right,
better
you
not
better,
find no work boots over there. No hard hats. None of that.
yes, yes. So I just want to commend,
So even the guys that wanted to be fathers for the sake of the household and the family for the kids, I'm gonna go ahead
Mhm.
and find somewhere to stay.
Yep,
Y'all stay over here at least. I'm
yep,
gonna find somewhere to be.
yep, yep, yep.
That
So
was that generation. You know
right,
what I'm saying?
But I
right.
mean, too, and just the posture. I know many more negative father situations than I have positive. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And it's unfortunate, and it may or may not be true because it creates this warped representation. You know what I'm saying? That all dads are bad, or all young girls have
Yes, it
bad
does.
relationships with their dad.
Right.
Or
Yes.
in her case, she was promiscuous, and
Mhm.
Yeah.
most times people think, well, she looking shit, she got daddy issues, and she told you in the beginning it wasn't based on no daddy issues.
You
My
made your
daddy
own choice. Yeah.
is, because again, people like to link our things to things that don't even add up always. And not only that, sometimes going through this type of stuff, it's just part of the journey. It's just
I'm
part
gonna
of the same journey.
I'm gonna get my Sean P take, right? I tell all parents this. You got from like birth until like 12, 13 years old to really leave your major stamp on the child. Not saying it's impossible, but about 13, 14, when you start making your own mind up on what you think you want to be and how you want to get down, they can try to lock you in the house all they want. When you
Listen,
find able to get out and about on your own, you're gonna lose your damn mind.
because I
And
lost my mind
all of us
several
been
times.
there.
I stayed in trouble.
Come on,
I
man.
stayed in trouble. So when I'm flipping the pages, that's another thing about this book being an easy read. I'm like, girl, hold on, I'm flipping the page up. Wait a minute now. So a lot of this book I felt seen, and I think a lot of women our age, late 30s to like mid 40s, 50s, you will resonate with this period of time. And she drops little names of different songs and movies to kind of put you in that 90s mindset. And when those of us who want to be outside, we was with our friends. We used to have to walk to school and we walked to the
Come on.
store. We talked about being outside. These kids don't know nothing about being outside.
No,
Being
not for real.
outside back then for us was walking to the corner store
Yeah, yeah,
and getting
yeah.
snacks and stuff. That was outside for us,
And
and we mingled with people. We met people. We got a chance to
yeah,
experience grown a little bit. And I don't
yeah.
think there's anything wrong with how her childhood is, even though there were some dips. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna really mess y'all up real quick because somewhere in here, now it was a traumatic experience. I'm gonna go ahead and say that, and I'm not glorifying anything weird or out the way sexually, but y'all, do they even talk about running trains and stuff like they used to? Like, what is that?
You mean these days?
I'm just saying, in certain time periods, stuff was going on.
Yeah,
I
and
think
my
you call
age,
all that out. Stuff was just going on.
yeah,
When I was in
yeah.
high school in ninth grade, I remember a particular story
Mhm,
where
mhm.
a situation happened, including the whole football team for the most part. That really happened at our high school, and
Yep, yep.
Yeah, it was really going down like that, unfortunately, and a lot of legal things happened around that situation.
Mhm.
That's real.
And I'm gonna
I
just look up the females and the sisters in the building because again, whoever that person was, whose story you can't remember, flowers to her if she survived that because it was just a lot of stuff going on. Period. We explore when we explore, and sometimes it can be control. Okay, you dating and you exploring that way, or it can be out of control. You promiscuous, you found with 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, and his friend, her friend. She experienced a lot of toxic friendships too, and one in particular, you know what I'm saying? So like we all experienced like that one friend, that friend betrayal. I mean, she was really telling the girl's story.
So was she trying to, while we're talking about that, was she trying to find that same love that she was seeing inside of her own household? Because I I began to, like I said, I started getting upset because of the same mistakes that she was making, and not only the same mistakes that she was making, because but I've been there too, so I understand, the same. But she was making the same mistakes. I'm saying, so is she trying to fall for every person that she meet or she think cute, and really not get the, because she didn't really get to know none of these men. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna say men, young boys at an early age. She did not get a
But
chance to,
they were older than her.
right?
That's
And they
another
were,
conversation. They were older than her.
yeah, yeah. But self, but self the I think the father's father's I mean her son's father. I think he was almost around the same age she
Yeah,
were.
yeah, around that age. Yeah,
Yeah, but everybody else was a little bit older.
older than her. Right.
So she went through some rough, you know what I'm saying, some bad relationships with some bad people, you know what I'm saying? And then the things she went through too was kind of upsetting me a little bit at that particular time was, okay, if you want to lay down with these men, you know what I'm saying, at least protect yourself. So, and
Understood.
that's a traumatic thing too, which I noticed through, which she recognized in there. A lot of things build up to, we'll get to her addiction. I think that build up to addiction, not just only the thing with her going to Savior's Day and they saying she anti-Semitic, but I'm thinking that this childhood thing with these men as well. She had how many abortions she had? She had what, 2, 3 different
Yeah.
abortions, right?
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? At an early age, we're talking about between what, 15, 16, and 17 years
Yeah.
old.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? With these men who she thought that would love her. So and for me, it was looking like she was just chasing love and falling in love with you know what I'm saying, with individuals real quick without getting to know, who they were.
But that's that stage in life, though, man. Like I said, that's that young. You find
Turn
somebody,
up.
you feel so fascinated. You feel so, oh
Mhm.
my God. And, we know now, 20 something years later, about the different levels. But at that age, 15, 16,
Come on
it
now.
don't take much. And you head first,
Love of
you
your
out the
life.
door.
You ready to get married. That's the
Come
person you
on,
want to
what?
marry for you at 15.
Come on, what? I like you like me, that's over.
Yeah. You know, but I appreciate that level set because the whole point is we was doing stuff,
Yeah.
and I'm glad that she shared her story. She ain't trying to clean that up because when you look at Michelle Obama's story, Michelle Obama didn't say she was in the streets, was she? But she didn't say that. So
Yeah.
in this story, she said, this is what I did. This
Right.
is how I live my life. And in that whole middle school age, now I've been a middle school teacher before, high school teacher. It'd be a whole bunch of stuff going on.
Yes.
Kofi's point, Kofi said, protect yourself. This
Bro,
is from a woman's perspective and a man. Be
Yeah.
safe.
let me tell you,
That's the least you can do,
this
especially
is
at that age.
it's probably worse now. But a high school teacher told me years ago around the local area where I live at, a certain school, I won't say no names, bro, their STD rate is like crazy high.
At the
And
school?
I was thinking to myself, like, wait, you mean all y'all just not strapping, y'all just willy-nilly? I mean a crazy high number on the STD side. I'm like, bro, that's scary.
And
It
Y'all
is.
kids, man.
That's what
yeah,
I'm saying.
but that goes to the parents as well. Like we want to
But
shun those.
Kofi, it don't. But I'm
Uh-oh.
just saying, it don't.
What I'm saying, far as the protection side, what I'm saying
Okay.
with like my
Let me
son,
hear
I got a
Kofi.
17-year-old son, a 14-year-old daughter. So I'm having those talks with him. It's nothing. Only thing I can do is I can prepare them. I can tell them to wait till they get married. I can show them this, that. I can show them all type of statistics and statics. It's still at the end of the day, they gonna make the choice themselves. So I have to prepare them. I have to break down to them how to put a condom on. You got to have these
And
conversations with them.
COVID.
How? Go
You
ahead.
know what's good? I don't know if y'all saw the series Forever on Netflix or not, but there's some real good parenting points in there. When the brother showing his son, like, now, come on, how you put it on? He's like, oh, come on, daddy. Man, put it on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I knew you out here, so you might as well. And he walking his son through, and I love those parts of that series showing that and also demonstrating sexual consent. They
Yes.
showed that well on the screen as
Yes.
well. Like
I
all
watched
those
that.
conversations, man, with teenagers,
Yes.
they did good with that.
Yep. Because we can't stop. And the reason why, like you saying with the STDs and high rated things, we have to move on. Okay, we're looking at we're in a different time.
True.
So now their parents are more out of the children's life than ever. We have we are the economic crisis that we are in. Everything is skyrocketing out of the roof. So, and we have, and I'm speaking for Black people in general, we have one parent homes.
Speak.
So parents have to, so the mother in particular has to work. So most of the time that the child is at home by herself, supposed to be at home study. The child is at school, so it has more influence outside of the household because the parent is not in the household, because the parent is trying to go to work to provide, to keep a roof over the child head, the food in the child's belly, make sure that the child is warm when it's cold, make sure that the child is
Mama
cool
trying to
when it's what's the name. So there is a different, there's a different time. That's why I choose the tactic of, I can't stop the influence. Once my children leave outside of here, I can't stop what they see. So only thing I can do is prepare them. So I'm gonna prepare them, and I'm gonna have these uncomfortable conversations with them about sex. So if they do decide to have sex, they know what it looked like, and they know how to protect themselves, and they know what come with it if you don't protect yourself. You can
yeah,
eventually get someone pregnant and you can't even take care of yourself. You can eventually get a disease that can be cured, or you can get a disease that cannot be cured and leave this world. So
right,
we
right,
have to have these conversations and then
yeah,
show them, hey, look,
yeah.
daughter, if you're gonna do this, then we need to get you on this. Then you also need to know
True.
how to put a condom on too. Show him how to properly put a condom on. I mean, you don't want your children to be unprotected, and
Yeah.
and if it happens, you want them to be prepared, even though you don't want it to happen, but you want to prepare them just in case.
Let
We
me
all
go ahead.
go ahead, Ash.
I mean, I think the difficulty in it is that you still, the kid, they still gonna,
Yeah, you gonna do it. You gonna
that's the
do it.
difficulty. But to Kofi's point, education, support, and the fact that we are out of the house. I think in one of my family members' case, they worked at the school, so they was on the school schedule. That's a play. I mean, it's difficult, and that's the hard part. A lot of the parents was at work. We know how this stuff went down. But for her, I'm gonna say this. I wonder if she was able to date. She never said if she was able to date. She never said she brought a boy home that she liked. She never said that. So,
And
and
she
it
was trying to
resonates.
sneak the whole
But
time. She trying to
let me say
slip
this
out,
real
trying
quick.
to sneak out, trying to.
I'm gonna say this right quick though. Like, again, maybe it's helpful if we allow our children to actually date, so they don't have to sneak around and do a thousand things. Because she didn't mention that. She never mentioned, "Oh, is this boy I like?" And I introduced him to my dad, or I brought him home. And that's what the weird part about it is. Like, if you had this great relationship with your dad, why you was A, doing all that stuff, and B, why didn't you try another way? And to me, it's probably like she couldn't bring a boy home. She didn't even mention her sister dating, her older sister. So that
Yep.
lets you know that maybe there was like rules. You couldn't date, you couldn't do this. And that leads people to sneak out and go do hood rat things.
Yeah, you're right. You're right,
But
because
I
she
want to say
definitely.
something too. As we transition on page 97, she was really dropping gems too. Like, yes, she was sharing her life, but she was really noticing something. She said at the bottom, she says, when you are aligned with the path the universe has designated for you, everything just seems to flow. So she's saying this early in the book, in the midst of still trying to figure out her place. This is a reminder too that like you have to be careful in life and put things into context. Like,
Yeah,
yes, she got to tell us a whole bunch of stuff that she did and a whole in her life, but like the context is things just seem to flow. So even
yeah,
the ins and outs, the ups and downs, it's still flowing for you to realize yourself and for
yeah.
your good. And I'm gonna say that it's Sunday, ain't it? You
It
know,
is.
just sprinkle a
Yeah,
little
that's
word.
fact. That's fact. That's fact. Come on with it now. Come on with it
Mhm.
now. And the
Anyway,
cool
let's
thing about that was, even in the middle of all the situations,
true,
she
true,
would
true,
always refer back at some point to going to the rallies. She's still going back to the
true.
marches, to the protest. She's still going back. So she would always come back to it. She would always come back, no matter how far she would drift, she'd come back to the center.
Fact,
So back to that from childhood to teenager, when you impart that thing on your child and they return back, like they always say, she would always come back to it.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely. Most definitely. Yes, indeed, man. I appreciate that. Like she shares so many dark um things that she went through, far as the abortions and, the particular men that she was involved with. And even one incident too, man, where I wish I could have been there and beat and I ain't gonna say beat out of the I ain't gonna even say what I would have did, but we you talked about the train a while ago. She
Yep.
was also involved
The setup.
in with a setup, you know what I'm
That was a
saying?
setup.
Like a particular boy, and the boy had to call all his homeboys
All his
over to
homies to
the
the
house, had
crib.
her locked in the house. She's pleading and crying and wanting to go. He ain't trying to hear none of that. You know what I'm saying? And it's a bunch of boys outside waiting for them to get ready to get their turn, man. So,
Come on, man. And
you
you
know,
know
if
what's
I
bad
was
about that, Kofi? Um, Over the years, a large amount of my female friends in my life have told me at a certain point in their life they might have been sexually harassed or other things. You know what I mean? Like a high percentile of our sisters have gone through different situations, man, like that would transpire right there, bro. People that I know directly, man. So when I heard that part of the book, I was driving when I heard, I was just driving like, man, like I was frustrated, bro.
it was
yeah,
hard to it was hard. Um and luckily the boy's mom came home, right, and saved
yes.
the day. So that's what and she probably knew her son because she really probably should have slapped him. It should have been more of a fuss, but the fact that it wasn't more of a fuss let you know that like certain she probably didn't have no control over him. B, he was probably already doing what he's at home and he got all his friends over here. He doing what he want to do. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And so like again, back to the parenting role, I can only say so much because I'm not a parent, but still I can see that like you gotta take the reins in a little bit. If you let these kids do whatever they want to do, then you can expect trouble somewhere in there. Now, every now and then, some people will find their path, and you can trust some people. Kids are disciplined. I don't want to just throw her under the bus or throw other kids under the bus because there are some kids that are very disciplined, self motivated, things like that. But like, it was a lot of mess going down, and she survived. So
Yes, she
again,
did.
to the point of I
She
lived
lived.
the story.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
lived.
Any of that could have went down another way because
Mm,
we see how life is fragile, especially when it comes to trying to take care of a woman's body, woman's rights.
man.
She said no, and then there's that, and so
You know what else too? The way it went down. Do you think he had did that prior to? It didn't sound like a first time. It sounded like
Yeah,
that was their
he
play.
did. He did it. He done it too many times. I'm
It
telling you,
sounded
he
like
done
that
it.
was the regular 1-2 for
Yeah.
them.
Yes, and that was the 1-2 for them, man. That
That was no
was.
first time, man.
that's why, like with young girls, you have to be careful with that. Hey, if somebody tell you cute and then they say come with you, you can't be moving like that. And so, like, it is that self worth piece is important to tell the
Ooh,
young girls, and that fatherhood piece of like being a representation. So when somebody say, "Hey, you cute," you don't get completely flustered and lose your dang mind.
yeah,
But
and I
that is
want
what
to say something important too, right there. A video that Redman put out recently. The rapper Redman put a 911 out recently this last week. I sent it to all my female friends talking about these different tactics that guys using right now to try to sex traffic women. They putting little chemicals on your door now. You touch the little chemicals, you mess around, you
Oh
pass
yeah,
out,
yeah.
black
Mm-hmm.
out. They putting
Mm-hmm.
something on the money, and they'll put
Mm-hmm.
money on your doggone door handle. You pick the money up,
Mm-hmm.
and then the chemicals on the money or the chemicals on the paper. There's so many different things they're doing that's weird,
Yeah, yeah.
weirdo stuff.
Yep.
And
I
we
see.
got to be careful, ladies, man.
Yep.
You
Yep.
out there door dashing, Uber driving,
Yep.
things are
Yep.
happening, man.
Yep. I seen a video. Where some guy walked up. They recording the whole thing and sent the guy put something on the lady car door. Some chemicals on the car door.
Ooh.
She touched the car door to open the car door, and when she opened the door,
Mm.
she got woozy and she fell out. I can't. This been like a month ago. I can't remember the entire thing. Something happened where the guy wasn't able to come get her. She fell out on the concrete, but something happened where the individual, when he was, I think somebody else came. Somebody else was coming, and that was the only reason why the guy turned around. And it showed the guy coming back, and somebody else was coming, and he turned around and he walked off the only way, and that was the only reason why this lady was saved. But it showed the video, it's on YouTube, and it showed the entire thing of this guy walking and putting something on this lady's door. And then when she eventually came out, he waited and eventually came out, and as she touched the door and got ready to open the door and tried to get in, she got woozy and fell out right there in front of her house on the concrete, you know what I'm saying, where she was parked at. And then you can see the guy where they had the camera angle. He's coming back now. He's coming back to get her, and somebody intervened and he turned around and he walked off. So man, yeah, you definitely right, Sean. I definitely seen something like that this past about a month ago, man. Sure did. It was, and it's on YouTube, and I was just scrolling through some of the reels, and I came across that reel on YouTube. Yep.
That's crazy. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and the safety, I mean, it makes me think, because we did a lot of walking and stuff when we was kids and outside. I mean, and we was all right. You know what I'm saying? We were confident thinking that we would walk to the store and get back in one piece.
But
You know,
hey,
we just would go get some snacks or whatever. So I just
back,
think, a sign of the times, right? That you can't even go to, in your car anymore.
but
We
hey,
used to have a lot more freedom. We used to walk around and do all that back in the day.
Ashley, back in the day, I know in my neighborhood, we had so many older people on the porch. They seeing everything. You barely even see that anymore. So it's easy to get snatched up. It's easy to you go to somebody's house, nobody ain't never seen you all week. That's the neighborhood. What happened to Ashley? I mean, I ain't never seen Ashley. But back in the day, the whole hood was outside all day.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Everybody outside.
So now we see a consequence of these devices, because we can't even have some of those internal protective mechanisms that we had just off of default. Ain't nobody even outside no more. You know what I'm saying? People are in the house, kids is in the house. But to y'all's point, like, safety is crazy out here, and it's just a wonder that we got through what we did back then, because we couldn't have that same attitude then that, like, now to make it.
We didn't have no cell phones.
We
And
had
I was
pagers.
going,
I had a pager. I had a pager.
I was going to play ball way across town with no car. I'm walking, I'm on the bike. My mama just know, hey, mom, I'm going to Kofi house. All right. Kofi don't live nowhere close to me. And I'm passing so many things on the way to Kofi house and back at night when the street light coming on. I'm coming back to Kofi house.
See, we had different kind
So
of
all
rules.
that time in between, she's had no contact with Sean. You just trusting Sean will do the right thing. He know how to make a choices. He know that was a lot of trust for our parents, man. Thinking back on it.
Facts. And I want to say something too as we move forward. So,
Yeah.
She was still, like you said, interested in getting a community. Earlier in chapter 9, she said, I was anxious to get more immersed in the community. Who says that? Because a lot of us ain't anxious to do nothing. So she was anxious to get involved. And I think that's what's missing in our time right now. People are wanting to get involved, but they don't have that drive. We just read the education of the Negro Corps, like that drive to get involved and be involved and see a need, feel a need type thing. But most people ain't involved. She said anxious to get more immersed in the community. And I think that's another gem that she dropped, like finding that passion to give back in whatever way you do it. Don't sit at home and was like, I don't know about this idea. I got it, but I don't know about it. Execute it. Acting on your dreams and visions speaks to that, because we need each other to get back. That's how we gonna get to places where we can really unite. Speaking of these movements and stuff, we are got to get anxious to be connected with each other and share of our gifts with each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
It takes a
So
special person to see an injustice on your phone. Because most times she talk about how something happened. She just happened to see it on her phone, a message, a reel, and her instinct, I gotta call somebody, I gotta make some emails, I gotta get to contact with so and so. Most people see them same things and just scroll past it. Oh, so and so got killed by the police. Just keep on scrolling. Oh, so and so happened. This thing happened at the prison. Just keep on scrolling. It takes a special kind of soldier to say, you know what? I'm seeing the fire. I'm gonna put the fire out.
yeah,
Just get involved, you know. Go ahead,
so
Coach.
yeah, I was just gonna say shout out to her mother because her mother is the one drew her to facilitating her into the movement, you know, being
I
boots
got
ground. And what I mean by that is
you.
the job. She got the job at the lawyer office. So she learned how to delegate all these different things. So she seen firsthand working at this lawyer office that deal with social injustice, right?
Speak,
You
speak,
know, how to send out a proper email. You
speak.
know what I'm saying? And how to organize, you know what I'm saying, and organize people, how to put on a rally, how to write grants, professional
Come on,
grants to get
Coach.
grants, right? So her working at this lawyer's office, you know what I'm saying, gave her the skill sets now to be offered a job here. You know what I'm saying? To be offered a job here. So
No,
she know what it looked like. She know how to send out emails when she see things. You know what I'm saying? She know how to follow proper protocol. She know how to
mhm.
get money or raise money for her movement, the organization, or for people to rally together to make social change. You know what I'm saying?
Facts,
Whether
facts.
it's
No,
having to go stay a week or 2 weeks in Kentucky or a month in Minnesota or whatever. These require funds. These needs backing, right? So,
come on.
shout out to the lawyer and her mother, you know what I'm saying, for her
But
mother for getting her job and the law and the lawyer for, allowing
let's
her to be seasoned.
let's speak on this for the masses, right? That's watching this podcast. Whenever you watch it. Some folks feel like, well, I don't qualify to go and step into this. I don't qualify to be in this room. I don't qualify to be at this table. She was a she had no high school diploma at this time.
Mm,
She wasn't college educated.
nope.
So your your appointment go surpass degrees and all of that.
Come on, word.
Your divine calling go surpass all of that. And people are now inviting you into the room. I want you on this conference call. I want you at this certain panel. I want you on the microphone, speak to the people. Most of our greatest leaders didn't have a high school diploma.
Mm-hmm.
Come on now. And
Elijah
then
Muhammad had a full grade education, didn't
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
he?
Yep.
We can keep on naming them.
Yep. And she
facts.
she deal with that. The more she started to excel, you know what I'm saying, when she got offered the other job, she didn't have all these other people that was on these boards and in this organization. They had degrees, they've been to college and got doctoral degrees and such and such, you know what I'm saying? And it was even kind of used against her in a way. She was a high school dropout, you know what I'm saying? But she was putting in as much work, as those who had
Speak a
a
word.
college degree, you know what I'm saying? So she work qualified, you know what I'm saying? And I know in a community I come from, and I agree with them in a certain totality, but sometimes I'm an autodidact. So I can talk about African culture and tradition and language all day, every day. I can talk about over 32 different ethnic groups in East, West, South, Africa, and et cetera, et cetera. I didn't particularly go to school at that particular time to learn all those things. I went later on in time to learn. And when I went and studied Africana studies, or African and African American studies, and et cetera, et cetera. But those are things that came later. But still, with me studying on my own and becoming an autodidact, I became qualified. So people wanted me to go out and speak, you know what I'm saying, and invite me in these rooms because I had enough, you know what I'm saying, enough experience of this information and networking with other people, even though I didn't have a degree in African American studies or in Africana studies. You know what I'm saying? They still wanted to involve me into the room. So going back to what you were saying, Sean, you don't have to be qualified. If this is on you, this is your calling. then answer the calling. You don't worry about having 7 or 8 degrees. You know what I'm saying? Just move with the opportunity. When the
Come on,
opportunity
Sunday
is there,
service. Ooh, let me write that down.
You
Move
can,
with the opportunity. I like how you said that. Go ahead.
you can do all that later. As she did, she
yeah,
eventually, for those that don't know, she eventually went to school, got the GED. She eventually got the degrees and all that. But that's after the fact.
yes,
We get in the game first, coach.
yes,
Kofi just
yes,
dropped the gem. Kofi said, "Move with the opportunity."
Move with that thing. When I
Okay.
move, you move.
Put that on
yeah,
the shirt. Put that
When
on
I
the shirt.
move, you move. Just
Put that
like
on,
that.
put that
yes,
on the
yes.
shirt. Put that on the shirt. That's deep because again, people miss. We talked about that in acting on your dreams and vision. Opportunity. Boom. Your mindset tell you to pass it by. That's a you. That's you.
You know
That's
what I
you.
realized? You know what I realized? You know, on certain jobs on Indeed, they said, well, minimal requirements. You got to have a bachelor's in this and this many years of that. If you go and still apply for that job and they still give you an interview, they might say, you know what? You ain't got this and that, but we still want you anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I know
Yep.
people got jobs
Or
like that. They
look
was
for
not
other
qualified,
facts.
but you
Yep.
surpassed whatever the minimal thing was.
But here's
Yes,
the
sir.
thing. Sometimes in our community spaces, again, we don't need those qualifiers because we know how the systemic things keep us out of opportunities. So again, in her opportunities, that came from hand to mouth. Mama knew the boss over here who knew that, and they
Right.
put you on. Like again, it's our community. We elevate each other more than we want to continue to look outside. But in real life, we do elevate each other
And
way faster and way more intrinsically than when we look outside of the community for elevation.
you
Yes,
said
Facts.
it perfectly earlier, Ashley. This book is all about relations, right? Because she was outside so much as a young person, these community leaders, they knew her. Her
Speak.
face had been around. She been in these meetings. She been in these spaces. You've been marching and protesting, and your family.
Mm-hmm.
So by the
Mm-hmm.
time she's of age, we know you.
Yep.
And we know your stock you come from. I want to say this too, as far as relationships, and speak on something she's called out in the book,
Yeah,
relationships, right?
yeah.
Chapter 11, where she says, called up in the rapture. Okay, come on, Nita. Come on,
Come
Nita.
on now. Come on
You
now.
didn't catch that until you
Come on
called
now.
it
I
out,
bet
Kobe.
rapture.
Shout out to Kobe. But
I
listen,
bet rapture.
she says, imagine how different dating would be if we asked our potential partners about the intricacies of their childhood traumas.
Come on now.
Okay, and
Come on
inquire
now,
about the action they were actively taking to heal from them.
bro,
We took time to identify triggers in
bro.
our relationships. When I tell you she was in her bag, okay,
Yeah.
and allowed that information to guide us in the establishment of parameters and used to define whom and how we date. Again,
Come on
she's
now.
looking back on how she handled herself, and she knew it was a
Yeah.
little loose, but she was like, it was related to certain traumas. It was relating to certain things because remember that early incident happened early.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Man,
That was
man early.
before some of her choices. That
Yeah.
stuff happened early to with somebody that she could trust. But I mean,
Yeah.
she goes on, even in this chapter, she even talks about on the next page, 127, that she still hadn't mastered the art of conflict resolution. I
Yes.
talk about conflict resolution in my book. It's a journey. We don't know how to resolve conflict.
Mhm.
So she's coming into finding out about herself that she's like, hey, I have trouble with conflict resolution. And she was talking about her emotional availability, like because she was getting right into it too. And she said this, and I felt this to my heart. She said, I always had to be right. I was like,
Oh,
Now
yes.
look at this too, Ash. I've heard various ladies say this, right? That work in like male dominated spaces, for an example. When you at work in that work environment, you gotta be almost like an alpha dog or whatever
true. That is
in the workspace.
yeah,
But a person's ability to turn that off at the house,
speak.
everybody can't do that.
That's a
Like
fact.
now at the crib, you still trying to be the. It's like, bro, you in that work, you
One
already
thing,
clocked out.
to your point, black women, message. Black women need a soft place to land. Can I say that? Black women need a soft place
Yes,
to land. And she found that in one of the guys, the older guy.
the homeboy dying,
All
dying,
sweet. He was
dying.
all soft with her. Can we say that? Because I think men are like, I need a soft woman. I need a woman in her soft girl era. Okay, well, can we have a place? Can y'all make a place that's soft to land? Make it
Let
easy for us to
the house should be soft. Period.
make it the whole house.
Let's have a soft house.
I mean, Charmin Cottonelle. I mean,
Oh,
goddamn. Okay,
support
right
the
lesson,
people.
being soft with each other. There you go.
Yeah,
Being soft with each other.
soft
Soft place
house,
to
man.
land.
I wish
Woody,
I had that.
oh, no. Woody no hard at the house. We don't need the house to be hard.
Oh God, damn! I wish I
Look what I said for a
had.
long time, right? If we leave your house, your door, you put that armor on to protect yourself, like a soldier going to battle, right? When I get back to the crib, I gotta put the shield down, put the sword down, take the helmet off. I don't want to have to put my armor back on at the crib.
But you know what? Nikki
I mean,
Giovanni had this
both people.
conversation with James Baldwin recently. RIP to her. She had this conversation because she was like, sometimes the women got to put the armor on in the house because of the rigidity of certain things. Like,
Yeah, that's crazy.
And I don't want to get into weeds, but both sides got to work on being soft.
Yeah.
And whether you're in a relationship now where you can kind of mess with that, or you look at your relationship, you gotta have that. If your nervous system ain't regulated, then that's the place to start. Work on regulating your nervous system, and then the nervous system of the household.
The house, yes,
yes, because you going back, like, and she's a strong woman.
Yeah,
and,
super.
And you know, a lot of the relationships that she was in, you know, the arguing back and forth and in altercations, that was like the normal, you know what I'm saying? And like you said, when she got with the older guy, who's seen a lot in her, you know, he showed her, how to be soft. You don't.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, we can disagree, but we don't have to raise our voice and talk to each other like we're children, or we're not human. We can resolve
Come on now,
conflict, you know what I'm saying, in a different way. So I liked that part, how he came at us. So and a lot of times, like, I'm a Freemason, so a lot of times how we present ourselves, like, and we always talk about when we're presenting ourselves in totality as men or in women, and we're out in the public, even when a conflict is at hand, we shouldn't give that same energy back. If we conduct ourselves in the right way, they're yelling, but we're talking to them softly. You know what I'm saying? And we're still being understanding. That may resolve the conflict from them, lowering their voices. They're calming themselves down instead of, okay, they hollering and then I'm hollering. They
trying to match the energy.
Trying to match the energy. You know what I'm saying?
I
like how he did that, and I even like how y'all talked about the armor, and it's crazy we talking about this because I was just talking about this as well. Coming home, and it's on both sides.
Yes.
And it's on both sides, not only just on the female side, but on the man side too, just like Dr. Wade say. So we both need to work on each other. But I also see too, though, we have to we have to address this as well. We going back to single parent homes. So the mother has to be the mother and the father. So sometimes she can be overly dominant. So when she does get with a man, she don't know how to turn it off because she's been playing the man and the woman role for so many years when she got somebody. So now she's so headstrong, and when you coming at her and you're trying to talk, she's over aggressive like a man would be, and now he has to put an armor on. He has to tiptoe around the tulips because she's been in this mode for so many years when she get a man, because of the circumstances. You know what I'm saying? So of the circumstances, so there's need to be, it just need to be something on both things. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to the healing process and how to move forward. You know what I'm saying? And move forward and alleviate things that happen in the past. I had to tell my wife, now I'm here. I'm here. I'm the man. But I also look at it like this. I don't look at it like I look at everything from an African perspective. So I don't believe that this is a man's world, and I don't believe that the man is the head of the house. So I believe that this is a man and a woman world. I believe that a man and a woman is the head of their household. So
together.
So a lot of So a lot of men also go in with this over dominant thing because they have been conditioned that this is a man's world. The man is the head of the household.
That's that Western society. That's that Western thinking, man.
Right.
West.
So it's programming on both sides that we have to take accountability to and figure out how we can resolve that, as well as what she said. When she noticed, how she was with conflict resolution and how she deal with resolution, then she began to work on it, and then she began to change. You can see in her
Right.
relationship as she evolved with the older
Right.
guy,
Right.
the
Right.
conflict resolution. She know I don't have to be turn up. I
Yeah.
don't have to be, this, that, and the third. So
And it takes a while. I'm gonna speak for the women. It takes a while. I mean, because it takes a while for us to disconnect from certain things. And I hate the whole gender thing. We always, talk
I
about
hate it. Yeah, I hate it.
but sometimes like the bottom line is we both everybody want to be heard.
Yeah.
Everybody want to be understood. And
Yeah.
so everybody wants
Yeah.
to make sure that their point gets across.
Right.
Everybody, not just one side. So creating space for conversation, creating space where it's like, okay, we heighten right now, maybe later on. And one of my friends is really good at this. Shout out to my friend Ray. Like, she is amazing at like her voice and her inflection. And I'm learning a lot from these people that are amazing parents, because it's like we all, speaking of this younger version, we all have like that inner kid or that inner self, that younger self that still needs to be loved and parented. And that's why we respond the way that we do. So just having that as a baseline, then we can grow in our conversation, because we really don't like it. We really like each other a lot more than we put on. It may look like in some relationships, oh, they don't like each other. That's not true. It's just the ways that we resolve just kind of draw people apart. But you also have positive interactions like that, and you come back and you build, you know what I'm saying? And this is again why this book was very heavy on the love part. A lot was going on, because she even had to realize with her son, we haven't talked about her son. We realized she was not even close to being present. But again, as a young mother, in her mind, I just need somebody to take care of this baby so I can go do me. So it took her a while to just realize that, hey, I'm the parent. I got to be around. He needs me.
Yeah, we can tap on that next. Sure.
And he got her together several times, because one time they was into it and he was like, you need to be worried about you. And she was so offended by it. She couldn't see what he was saying. But then later on in the book, she did need to be worried about her. You know what I'm saying?
Facts. COVID said the word disagreeable earlier. I want to say something. My grandfather always had these great one-liner kind of things, man. He says it's okay to disagree, just don't be disagreeable. As in love when you say that. It's okay to disagree, just don't be a disagreeable person. And some people in this world, some folks in this world, I notice, man, when I see them on a consistent basis, not just every once in a while, they are just consistently disagreeable people. They're just contrarians.
Let me write that word. I like
that. Even though on payday, you still got a frown on your face. Even when you hit the lottery, you still scrunched up. You still got this adversarial energy for no reason. I can say, hey, how you doing today? Happy Friday. In the most pleasant voice possible. You still got a little fight about yourself. Where it's like,
what's happy about Friday?
That's something wrong with you. Yeah.
What's happy about Friday?
Yeah, that's something. That's an internal issue.
Facts.
It's not a me problem. That's you problem.
Facts.
So those kind of people exist on the planet. Don't be one of them.
Facts. And that's the go. Please go for it. And y'all too. This women's movement, these women's march. Let's get into that.
Let's do it.
And I'm only gonna tap the surface, because I think it got deep. It got so intrinsic. But the point is, like, she realized that this was the play, these women's movements. She was a great organizer. Women were looking for certain voices to be uplifted, and she was a leader. And this goes into a lot of different topics. So I'm gonna tap on a few things. Integration, being a part of like feminist movement with white women. And we learned from the great Fannie Lou Hamer and god dang Ella Baker. And even Sandra Bland talks about it. We want to unify. But when we unify, you can't dilute Black voices. When you get to the point where you want to dilute Black voices, then we out. And she spoke specifically to white women. In the chapter called Time Today. I forgot what chapter number that is, but she had a lot to say. And I love how she picked up the mantle of Fannie and she spoke directly to white women. She said a lot of controversial things in her speeches, but she came how she came. But that's, again, a lot of people ain't ready for the Black woman leadership. You're not ready because you can't sit underneath somebody and learn. That's the problem. And so she had these organizations and it was getting grand. But the white women were like, well, we got to have it like this. And when times got testy and she was standing her ground and speaking up on some things like Black women do, then she got ostracized. And then it became, what she was saying was anti-Semitic. And then it just got, her trajectory went up. And then it went down just because she was using her voice. And so I'll let y'all piggyback on that move.
Yeah, that part. I'll be honest with you. I didn't agree with that at all. For as okay, we need to take care of home first. Like we are the only people that don't understand that, right? So if I say race first, and I am for race first, that don't make me a racist because every other race is race first. People say that because they don't understand the ideology behind it, right? It only meaning that we have to take care of home first. We have issues with inside of our own communities. Let's work on that together. We always want to draw people in on our movements, and this is why the movements never works out in our benefits, because we always want to involve other people, right? And with her being involved in getting this was her child, and getting other people involved with it, which she had to eventually leave it, but having these white women involved, and we talking about a feminist movement. So if we go back and we look at we look at the 18th and we look at the 19th century and we look at the feminist movement, it was started by white women, right? So these white women had issue with their white counterparts, right? White women could not be nothing more than a secretary at this particular time. They couldn't be but secretary or nurses. They couldn't do nothing else. So
They couldn't vote either. They wasn't voting either.
Right? They had all this. So this movement was started. Then black women got involved with it. Then it resurfaced in the 19th century with the white women, and then the black women took over the feminist movement. And then what we always want to be involved or have other people involved with it, and it never worked out. From my opinion, it wasn't gonna work from the beginning when she had got those white women involved, because again, we want these people to be involved, and sometimes, because me being a part of a few nonprofit organizations, and I'm not gonna lie and say that we had never had white people or any other Asian or Koreans or Pakistanians involved, or whoever wanted to be involved. I'm not gonna say that's never happened. I always been against it, because I always know because history always repeats itself, and it always shows, and it always happened that, okay, we want these people involved because we believe they have the more resources. Yes. They got the more money. You know what I'm saying? They have the more connections. So we need them involved with our movement so we can get some of these things fun. We can get in some of these doors through their connections. But when we do that, our voices get washed away, and their voices become the dominant, because they feel like, okay, we are benefiting this. So we have much more to say than you do, because we are supplying the money. We are supplying the resources.
Right.
We're applying our networks. So this is how it's going to go. Okay, we understand that this social issue is going on in this community, but we want to look at the totality of everybody, not just this community, but everybody. So now our things get put on the back burner, and then what we initially sought out to do is on the backside, and now we're serving another purpose, because we're involving other people that don't look like us and don't understand our plights and the things that our people went through.
And
and that was what she was suffering from. They didn't understand what she was talking about and what the women were going through.
Right. You know what else, Kofi? I know it takes time in the traditional publishing world between something being written and when it finally comes out. I don't know the exact time period she was writing this, but the whole time reading about this, I'm thinking about the last election a couple months ago, the last election, and the way in which a lot of black women felt after the election, right? It reminded me of this whole situation right here. With all these liberal white women that's supposed to be so hand in hand with us, you see where the vote actually went. And a lot of black women felt like, you know what, our hands up. We're done with it. A lot of women felt like that.
And you want to know why? Because when it first came out, I remember I was getting a lot of emails, a lot of DMs. Hey, catch this Zoom. The white women are raising money over here for this. And there was this optimism. I mean, people were putting in me in groups, and like, I was like, are we really dependent on this? But it was like, yeah, so-and-so donated $2 million. So-and-so. And then like, you remember that? There was all these Zoom calls and all this going on. And I never tapped into that, because like, when have we ever seen, that's again, history. When have you ever seen white women or white men, and I hate to make it race related, but we got to talk about it. When have you ever seen that? Even Fannie Lou Hamer was saying white women show up for me. And even in her speech, she said, "Stand up for me, white woman. Come to my aid." Again, like Kofi's point, we want to involve other people because resources, we know that you can't really make the mountain move necessarily without the resources. But then again, it's like, then when there is an issue, then it's like a debilitating issue. Look at what happened with her with the anti-Semitism. All she did was go to the holy day of the nation of Islam. That's all she did. She went to Savior's Day. She had a relationship, but she didn't really she was talking about the long-standing tension between minister and the Jewish community. So that's what she ultimately paid for. And then it was a white woman that was like, "You probably need to step down." And we don't
Which
want
had nothing to do with her, by the way. It had nothing to do with her.
Yeah, but going back to the content of the character, this lady done put her life on the line. She done help raise funds. They actually had successful women's marches. I think they had one or two successful ones.
Yeah, some of the biggest marches in this century, some of the biggest ever marches ever. She was able to spearhead some of those.
And she said, she talked about one thing that was so important. She said, "I watched the positive impact of the nation in my family and community." A lot of people don't see that. They think, oh, it's Muslim, and they think automatically black, on some real black stuff. They don't see the work that's done, the positive impact, because regardless of religion, our brothers and sisters in the nation, they take care of each other. They the ones out in the community educating. They're the ones facilitating the program. So as much as people want to point fingers on a religious thing, like, oh, Jewish people, oh, Muslim people, oh, who out doing the work? And you cannot take away from that part from the Muslim community, the impact, the positive impact. You can't take that away no matter how you shake it.
Even in her personal life, when things went down with her mama being hospitalized and all that, she got to get all of a sudden flight and get transportation. The nation came through. The Muslim brothers came through. We go transport you, do this and that. That was the Nation of Islam.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
that's what people don't want to talk about. They don't want to talk about that.
And but she said it in the book. Like when they was going, she was a little child. Her daddy listened, and her mother, they listened and read everything. They was around. It didn't matter. They wanted to be around like-minded people. It didn't matter what background they came from, but if they were for black people, that's what they gravitated to. So that's what she seen growing up. Dr. Ben, she talked about Dr. Ben. Dr. Ben was not a Muslim. You know what I'm saying? He was a Pan-Africanist. You know what I'm saying? But he was for black people. You know what I'm saying? Some of the other individuals that she talked about, they was in the Muslim, they was in the Pan-African, they was in the UNIA, they was all over the place. But the common goal was they were for black people.
I got to say it on the podcast, right? I got to say it on the Griots Podcast. This is Sean P. thoughts, not anybody else's. I told somebody this in private. Every time the public find out a certain person was around the Mr. Louis Farrakhan, very bad things happen in that person's life every time. It could be a rapper, it could be a ball player. When they find out, oh, they've been around the minister, all of a sudden it's a sexual allegation. All of a sudden it's a tax thing with the government. All of a sudden federal cases come up. When they find out something about a person being around the nation, it's always going on like that, bro.
But here, and then not only that, fast forward with this anti-Semitism, we saw Elon Musk. So we let them throw us under the bus, Kyrie Irving, about certain positions that we take on things. But when they do something, we saw what Elon did in front of all them people, and where we was looking for the outburst. No outburst, not a peep. That's what I'm saying. So they weaponized certain things on her, and it was the white women who could have been like, you know what? She never said she was a Muslim. She went to support. We can support each other. So why that it was then like, oh, she's representing us in a bad way. And then people want to pull their funding. To Kofi's point, you want the funding and you want the resources, but when some don't go the way they anticipate, no resources.
They're a little kid taking their ball back on the playground. Giving the ball back.
And they should have knew by now. They knew her. You know, they all these meetings and stuff that they have, they knew her. So she speak, and she always spoke her mind. So I'm quite sure if she would have been, you know, and that's what if that's what I'm saying, the white women should have said. She's not that. She's always speaking the truth, and she always speaking what's on her mind. Have you not heard any of her speeches? You know what I'm saying? So if she were against this, I'm quite sure she would have been and came out with it because she's very unapologetic when she
Fact,
says certain things and she tell you
fact.
this. You know what I'm saying? So they should have came to her aid in that. And but it's crazy. This went on for years and it's still going on to this day about this same thing of her being anti-Semitic, anti-Semitic,
Right.
anti-Semitic.
Bro,
This is crazy.
once they put that label on you, dog, when they put that tag on you, bro, Kyrie Irving, Kanye West, Mahmoud Abdul Rauf, Craig Hodge, we could just keep on naming people. When they put that label on your name, bro, it's hard
crazy.
to shake that. It's hard to shake that jacket, boy.
Yeah,
But then they don't put it on themselves. That's the thing. That's why we have to be more mindful of these tactics and stuff like this. And this happened before we knew that they wasn't gonna say nothing when they do it. You know what I'm saying? So again, and I want to just lift up our sister Ella Baker. And this is the point. If we look to our elders, and we, again, when it comes to organizing and when it comes to really building these movements, look to our elders. Ella Baker she left these big name organizations with all these people, even though they were mostly Black. She left them and she went to organize with the young people. Why? Because they was really ready to do something. All these women that was doing the marches, that's cool. But what was y'all doing in y'all dang communities? Were y'all doing something at home? No. And that's even still today. Y'all want to raise y'all money and sneak behind y'all husband back and vote for somebody else. You can't do that. Still having these same problems. And so go to the people that's doing the work. Organize with the people that's doing the work, not just because they're a woman or just because of the color. Like the people that's doing the work, tap in with them, tap in with the young folks. But when you get in these hierarchies and these positions and CEOs, it's always going to be a fall guy. And she was hurt that they chose her to be the dang fall guy.
Yep.
And
let's tap on this for 1 second, right? Whenever you are a part of certain organizations and societies, and we've done plenty of full-length shows about all the societies and all that. We highlighted all the good stuff, but you can't lose yourself whenever you in it. And so a lot of times she was doing 18, 19-hour days, back to that. You got a younger son. Your mama is telling you, like, bro, your son need more time with you than this. This is not enough time. You just coming in to give him a little bath, put him in the bed right quick. You and that just about to get a little nap on the sofa. How back up, send off emails like the show that we covered on Before You Climb Any Higher. I gotta say it. She was climbing so many mountains and getting no valley time whatsoever, and there were dire consequences to be paid. We try to live on the mountain, like the man said. You can't live on the mountain. There is no nourishment on the mountain.
And that led her to the addiction
piece. Oh my God.
And she needed that to grow. And real quick, because it's 4:44 in Central Standard Time. So this is an on-time subject, an on-time conversation. These opiates and goddamn benzos, from the pharmacist perspective, y'all, it is really ravishing our communities because they're addictive. These medications, these opiates, even in the Xanax, all of them are addictive. So I feel bad that that's the first place where she tapped in, because she didn't go to somebody. She got these pills from a friend of a friend. Like, oh, girl, take this for your nerve. And then it ended up almost destroying her life.
Yep.
So this is good because
Xanax and Percocet.
This is good because this hit me real hard. This particular part of the book, because I spent so many years working in these rehab centers. I spent many years working with addiction places. So all the vivid details she was going into about what it's like to go to a place, get transported. I was a transporter at one time with the little van, picking them up, transporting you over here. They take all your belongings from you, go through it one at a time, label all the stuff at 2 a.m, take your cell phone from you. We did all of that. So as she's going through these processes, that was my job for years. And so many people I work with, you ask them how they got on drugs to begin with, it'd be the most simplest thing. It's always the most simple way a person get hooked, and they can't shake it, bro.
Yes.
That gotta be talked about and emphasized, man.
Yes. And she said she was taking almost 20-some darn pills a day, man. That's crazy. 20-some pills a day.
You know how many people I met that were chefs? You know, chefs get up at 4 or 5 in the morning to prep for breakfast. Yeah. They just trying to stay up.
Man.
I met so many guys in the post office getting up early for the post work. They're just trying to stay awake. They're trying to stay alert. Man, try one of these. Man, try one of these. That's all it takes. I met so many DJs. You in the club all night, 2, 3 in the morning, trying to stay awake. These folks just innocently trying to work, end up with a whole addiction, man.
Yeah, man.
I've met many people.
Yeah. Shout out.
And then she lived with it like she was functioning for a
Yeah.
while.
Well, she said she thought she was highly functioning.
Yeah.
I went back and looked at some pictures last night. You know, she was talking about how people didn't even notice how small she was getting at one point, you know, in her addiction. I went back and looked at some of the pictures. I'm talking about a stick. I'm talking about a little bitty stick, man. I'm like, wow. Now I said, I don't understand how people didn't notice the weight that she was at to her becoming. She ain't never been no big lady, but I'm saying a stick. I'm
That's
talking
how
about
it be in life, though, Kofi. That's how it be in life, though, man.
golly, man.
People see you, but they don't see you.
Yeah.
About that part.
Yeah,
They see you, but they don't see you.
Heavy on that.
Whenever you're known to be the strong person, there don't be nothing wrong with Kofi. Kofi don't need nothing. When you know for being the go-to person, man, Dr. Wade don't need nothing. They ask you, you know, we asked each other recently, man, how your day really going? How you really doing? How you really feel?
How you mental?
How you mental?
Yeah. And I appreciate that from y'all when we be tapping in, because that is important. And even just the art of tapping in and just being that, I mean, even if it's like a tough day and just being like, yeah, it's a tough day for me today. I'm going through this. Like, at least being able to get that out or that off and being able to be honest. You know what I'm saying? That goes back to that tribal aspect of who are your friends. Because even when she was in these places, her friends are the organizers, and they torn too. They want to support the masses and they want to support her. So now they torn with their loyalty. You know what I'm saying? So she went through that too. But I love, like, towards the end of that, when she was coming into herself, she realized who was in her corner. And she realized that, like, you can't have a women's march because there was all this, you know, women without the men. And so she gave shout out to her friend. I'm trying to figure out what
my son and some other guy. My son, yeah.
Have our men. So again, circling back to those things that she know is foundational and really implementing that. So instead of trying to climb their ladder, she's like, okay, this is how we gonna climb this time.
And you know what's powerful about this book too? I had seen plenty of podcasts because of those that don't know, Tamika Mallory and my son got a podcast together. But now I understand their relation to each other so much deeper now. When I watch older podcasts that she's been on for various years, I understand so many more things now differently. Looking at some of her older work, and yeah, man, this book brought so much to my eyes. Man.
Yeah. And then, like, she ended in a place where she was like, she got this grant and she wrote this proposal. And her point was bringing back activism in the Black church. I know y'all did that last year. Y'all talked about the Black church on the podcast on the season 2.
Not a 1. That was on
season 1. And again, there's this push and there's this call out for the reconnection. But again, it's so difficult. Dr. Black even talks about that. Like, we don't want to forget the Black church. But my point is, the Black church got to come outside, number 1. Number 2, the Black church has to be willing. We got to let go of these strongholds that keep us out, because there are many times the Black church has kicked out people. Hello? Yes. And ostracized certain people. So now you want the people, but you didn't kick out people. So again, like, and I love that this is part of what she's trying to say, because in her upbringing, she saw the church in activism. So her trying to bring that back around. I love that. After her healing, after all that trauma that she went through, she's like, we really need this. We need this.
Because again, whether folks like it or not, that's what the most masses of Black people are still to this day, is in the church. So you want to really, really move something, you want to really, really shake something, you're going to have to tap into this large body of people. That connection still got to be there.
It's got to be the effort has to come from both sides, because gone are the days that people are running the church for stuff. That is past. So you sitting around waiting on people to come. It's not going to happen. We've seen it post-COVID. It's not happening. It's not when we stop wearing masks, people are coming back, because we don't got to wear no masks and people still at home. So again, there has to be effort on both sides. But again, there's that healing that needs to take place. And there's that lack of, we need to remove judgment. We need to remove some of these strongholds that have created the divide in order to people to get back on the same page. And
Mhm.
we got to see the church active. Right now, the church is collecting tithes.
Yeah.
Now the impartation is there. So shout out to the leaders who and the people who are speaking the word, because I'm sure they're doing their part. Shout out to the pastors and the people that are doing that. But I'm just saying, like, there's a whole conversation that we have to have. And I love that was her posture. Now, her organization that she has is called Until Freedom.
Yeah.
So now I'm curious to tap into that and see where that's growing into and seeing her work and like how that's going. Because if that's your mission, how is that going? Are we finding ways where we are reconnecting with the Black church and the activism? What's going on?
Mhm.
I hope she able to get that off the ground, because like you say, I'm a history buff. So when you look at the movements in the beginning of time, the churches have always been involved with that, right? And after a certain point in history, you see the divide, you know what I'm saying, in it. They are no longer um into the the activism part, the community work, you know what I'm saying, is they ostracize them, exile themselves away from the community. If you don't belong to this church or etc., we can't. And even if you do, it's certain things that they can't do, or they're not willing to do anymore. Like the churches used to, free school, school, rallies were put on in the churches, you know what I'm saying? Organizations were going on, different organizations. The churches was open up for the for
Yeah.
the organization. The
Yeah.
churches was out there on the front line, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
with those other community activists. We don't see that anymore. It's a divide between the two, and it puts me in a mood, or it shows me also like history is repeating itself. When we look on the plantation, right? We look at particular things, that how religion or how Christianity or the Bible was weaponized against us. Like,
Yeah.
so certain people, we're going to put certain individuals in play, and they're only going to speak a certain verses from out this thing. And one of them, would follow your master here on earth. You know what I'm saying? It's so many different things that I think that has been transitioned and put in play. Those same practices that took place on the plantation is now put in place now that we are so-called being emancipated, and certain people have been put in position. And now when they grooming the next pastor and et cetera, it's the same format and the same template, that we don't have to get out here in the community and affect any type of change. And then also the mindset of, we don't have to fight. We do have to fight. You know what I'm saying? We can't continue to say that they, just like an incident with the church, and I think that was in South Carolina, North Carolina, wherever place that was, when they came in and that white boy came in and shot those people.
Yeah.
We said we was gonna pray for him. There was nothing else taken. This boy was transported. He was taken and got a hamburger and
Burger King
got
with the
something
Burger
to
King.
drink. Burger King,
Burger
got
King.
some,
Yeah.
and then went on with the
Double
jail.
Whopper with cheese. Yeah. All
Right,
that.
so so it's teaching us to not be fighters, but be more forgiving. They can come in and kill us, slap us, they can ostracize us, you know what I'm saying? They can redline us, they can put this, that in play in our communities. They can push propaganda in our communities. They can divide the women and men. They can divide the youth and the elders against each other. And all we have to say is have the mindset of, is all we have to do is pray. But faith without works is dead, right? It's, again, faith without works, the word work. So we don't want to work. All we want to do is sit back, complain, and pray about it, and forgive those who are applying the pressure on us. We have to put in the work. We have to fight back. The
True.
people in the civil rights movement, they fought back. A lot of these people in the civil rights movement, they was churchgoers, they was Christians, but the church was involved. They fought back. They fought legislation. They fought against social injustice. They fought back against inhumane acts. They fought back. That was the thing. They put in work. They rallied. They marched. They protest. They did all these different things.
You know
You
what,
know what
Kobe?
I'm saying?
I think that was the last wave right there, bro. You were saying you know when it happened, the divide. I think around the civil rights time, like after that,
Yeah.
after MLK assassination, after Malcolm X assassination, after
Yeah.
JFK assassination. Dr. Wade, that 1960s era, Talking about that before.
Mhm.
Around after that wave, I think that was the divide right there, Kofi.
I think so too.
I
And I
think that
think
was the
too,
divide.
like
You know
there
what?
are a
We
lot of
felt like,
good
you know what? We
teachers.
tried that already. We tried to turn up the cheek. We tried that. And look what happened to Morton. We ain't doing that no more.
But then
A lot
again,
of folks pulled back.
I agree with that, and I'm glad that you called that out because I never looked at it like that. I'm glad that you called it out. But I think now, if we can focus on the teaching, we need to focus on the liberating the mind part, because there are activists. So the church can connect with the activists. That's why I can't wait to see like how she's laying this out, because back then we had the preachers was the activists.
Yeah.
And that is scary. I can see that being scary. But now, if you're gonna focus on mindfulness and you're gonna focus on leadership, then just connect with people. Because back then, the preacher had to be all these people in one. They had to be all
Yes, it
these
was.
roles in one.
Yeah.
But now you don't have to. You can connect again with the community, with people that are doing amazing things. Bring in, just collaborate. Collaborate. And not, but see, we so afraid of again if we collaborate, Tamika, they're gonna name us anti-Semitic too.
Yep.
We can't be afraid to collaborate with our
Now,
people.
Dr. Wade, look at the whole Barack Obama thing. Whenever Barack first started running, and the church he was going to at first, they were like, man, you can't be associated with that.
Yeah. But again, like, I love this book. I'm so glad that we got on board here.
Yes, man. Good call. Good call.
Lift up to me, because these are our activists. We're looking back at Angela Davis. We're looking back at, even Ella Baker, Fannie Lou Hamer. We're looking back at Shirley Chisholm. But right here in real time, we have a leader, and she was so willing and gracious to tell her story, all the good, bad, and the ugly. And now I have a more clearer picture of what she did, because I had her wrong myself. So I just appreciate this book. It gave me a lot of healing, and it opened me up to like different perceptions of love, because after she went through all this stuff, she realized that it's all a love story. It's all a love story, the love of self, the family, the community. And she had to learn how to oscillate the love and keep some for herself, but then learn how to give certain amounts to the community and involve people without giving all, because she was giving her all. And she still didn't feel like she was doing enough. So support this sister, tap into her podcast, because I'm about to do the same thing, and listen to this voice. We need to be listening to people. People got Angela Rye, people got all these other people that they listen to. We probably should be listening to Tamika. We probably should be listening. So thank y'all so much for your support on this, and for tapping in with this story right here. Tamika Mallory, follow her podcast, read her book, support her book. If you can catch her on tour, if she's still touring, catch her, support her, hug her. You know what I'm saying? Support her and show love, because again, we all need safe places to land. We all need to find ourselves busy in the community. Hello. We all need to find our way back into the fold and back into building and healing, because if we don't do it for each other,
nobody else will.
Come on now.
You know what I'm saying? And I love that we are demonstrating, even through this podcast, that we can depend on each other, that we can hold each other accountable. So we were just talking about this before the show. We can hold each other, and we build good stuff when we do it together and we do it right. And it ain't no competition. We all coming with our gifts, and it's gonna be 10 out of 10 every time. So I'm inspired. She lived to tell a story that is something so beautiful that not all of our leaders get a chance to do, and so we honor her. Tamika D. Mallory. Yeah, we wore that book down, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Book review.
I knew we would.
I already knew it. I told you it was gonna be fire, man.
It was crazy.
And we still didn't touch on everything we needed to touch on, but we touched on what we needed to touch on. So let's get into the last segment real quick. The woman
segment. Bring it home, as the way. Bring it home. Land the plane. Land the plane.
You know what? We love a smooth landing. We are here for a smooth landing.
Come on, man.
Be too bumpy or shaky. So I love this part right here. Thank you again, Kofi, for having the women's segment. And in my mind, the person who came to me to highlight was Sandra Bland, because again, luckily Tamika survived to tell the story, but Sandra Bland did not get to survive to tell her story. She was a 28-year-old Black activist from Chicago, and she was taken into custody by a state trooper in Prairie View, Texas. Okay. And she was just getting into her activism bag. If you Google her, you can see her speeches and things that she was saying. And I included a clip just to hear the first couple minutes of her voice, because she was killed by police. They tried to say she hung herself in jail.
Right.
Come on, give me a break. But she
Sure.
did. She was very well educated and degreed. She graduated from high school. She also graduated from Prairie View,
Yeah.
where she was a member of Sigma Gamma Rho sorority. So she had graduated from Prairie View in 2009, and she was returning before she got murdered to lead this summer program. She was coming back as a summer program associate. So again, talking about movement work, she was getting back to, she was getting involved in work on college campus. Just imagine how amazing she would have been, how amazing her influence would have been on college students on an HBCU. She was coming back. She was getting ready to give to these children. And then she got pulled over, and over a minor traffic violation. This is how important this book is. I live to tell a story. Sandra Bland got pulled over for a minor traffic violation, and she eventually lost her life unjustly. And I was able to go to Prairie View a couple of years ago. It may be not been in 2023 to give a talk, and her memorial is still there. So organizations are lifting up her name continuously that are on the ground. There's a memorial. If you, and Prairie View is in the country, but if you get a chance to go, you'll see teddy bears, you'll still see her face. Like, we need to keep her name alive, say her name, because she was an activist before Instagram. This is way before she was making Facebook videos, and they were all motivational. You can tell she could have been a Tamika Mallory, but her life was cut short. So I included this clip. I don't know if you'll get a chance to play it, Kofi. We can just play the first minute or two of what she's saying, just so we can hear her voice, see her face. And there's a photo of her. So say her name. Long live Sandra Bland. If you don't know about her, because I know we're talking to different age groups in the chat, make sure you tell your kids about her. You share the person that Sandra Bland was, and how she tragically lost her life. But more so than anything, just keep her voice lifted. Keep her in mind.
Y'all let me know when y'all can see it. Let me do this too.
Look at her.
Y'all can see it. Okay.
My beautiful
Yeah.
kings and queens. It's Friday, April 10th, 2015. It's kind of chilly out here this morning, so hopefully you bundled up. Kings and queens, someone proposed me with the question the other day, and I'm a little stuck on it. I was asked, was I trying to racially unite or racially incite? Well, honestly, I feel that my goal is to racially unite. Now, in the process of doing that, some people will be incited, i.e., upset, because based on the history of America, it is not good when it comes to Black and white people. But I want us to try and get past that. And that is ultimately impossible. It's impossible to happen until certain people realize they were born into a certain type of privilege. And it does not matter if you never break a law, or if you never get into any trouble. Part of the reason for that being is the police don't even suspect you of doing anything wrong.
You can pause it. You can stop it right there, Kofi.
And that's just how it is.
The point is, she was well on her way. Her voice was activated. She was getting ready. She was on her trajectory. She was finding her way. And people were trying to figure out, like, oh, is she one of those ones who's going to separate us? And because it's beyond race. That's what she said. Yeah, in a utopia, we could all get along. Women's march, men's march, Black march. All lives matter in a utopia. But again, her voice, she was just ready, just getting started. And of course, she was she was murdered, basically. So I just want to lift her voice up today, honor her, honor the legacy that she still had, even though her life was cut short. and just make sure that we remember her and remember the people who were activists who did not get to live to tell their stories. We have a list of them, but this beautiful Black woman was one. Who knows what she could have been, how she could have collaborated with Tamika and Angela Davis and really tapped in, but her life was cut short. So much love, many flowers to Sandra Bland, and thank y'all for tapping into the women's segment.
Yes, for sure. Powerful.
Yes. Another episode in the can, man. I definitely enjoyed this discussion today. I hope
Come on, man. Mid-year. File
Hold
the
on,
fans on them.
that.
Yes. So I hope everybody else.
I didn't even have to see it go in. It went in. So
You know what I'm talking about? Hey, look at that thing.
that step back.
Yeah. So we appreciate everybody that tapped in. We appreciate those who popped in, popped out. We appreciate those who stayed the duration of the show. We appreciate those who may come back and look at this later on in the archive. We definitely appreciate the support. We appreciate y'all supporting the Griots Podcast, as well as supporting myself, as well as Dr. Wade, as well as Sean individually, right? We'll see y'all here next month. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the month with another
Fire
banger, another fire. You know what I'm saying? These shows are just, in my opinion, are getting better and better, and we're excelling. Again. So be on the lookout. Tomorrow, if you have nothing to do, I know it's what's tomorrow? Yeah, I don't keep
Memorial Day. Memorial Day.
Memorial Day, I'll be back on. I'll be on the Warrior Scholar podcast with Andre, who is an activist, an RBG artist, at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. Sean, you got something tomorrow?
Nope, I'll be at work.
Oh, okay. I thought you had something Monday as well, but
I'm going into the valley. I'm going to get my valley time.
But on Tuesday, I got the sister A.A. Lewis coming up on the Sean P. Experience. A.A. Lewis, she got 2 books coming out at one time. Check it out.
And we got the Read with Dr. Wade and Friends book club popping back off for season 4 on the 31st. So next Saturday, taking donations. Hit my website, readwithdrwade.com. We are teaching. The Griots are out in the community and we're teaching. So we appreciate your support near and far. Also, members of Asala. I had a gentleman join Asala from checking into our podcast. So there are ways that we can get connected. Let's connect, let's build and grow.
Shout out to that brother. Shout out to that brother as well, man. And that's powerful. You know what I'm saying? We can't gloss over that. You said you had a brother who looked at this podcast on YouTube, one of the episodes, and that episode got him involved in the Asala organization.
That's amazing.
She glossed over there. That's powerful.
That's amazing. Amazing.
And he's a consistent member. He came to one meeting and he came back for the second meeting. So again, people looking for places to go. I'm glad to even be here to be able to share in this way with y'all. And really encourage people to get involved. And speaking of that, a silly magazine coming out when, Kofi?
Come on now.
June the 22nd, I think.
Come on now.
So y'all be on the lookout for that fourth edition, headed by the new chief executive, Ashley Wade. So this whole ideal, the feature of the cover, the ideal, everything. This is Ashley Wade. We are, like I said, we are proud to have her as the chief executive.
Yes,
we proud to have a full staff. Like we have a full staff, 10 members of full staff. So we have
full staff.
Shout out to the tribe, the whole tribe.
That's dope.
So,
that's dope.
Yes. And if you want to get involved and be a part of the Silly Magazine and staff, just hit up myself, Dr. Ashley Wade, or hit up Sean, and we'll make it happen.
If you get an urge, if you get an inkling, you want to join something.
Yes.
Come on, man.
Yes.
All right. See you next time. I'm headed to the valley, down to the valley. So
yes, I am too. I'm hitting the valley today too. Then, but I want to give it up one more time.
Yeah.
Yes. So we out of here, man. Yeah. So we're gonna leave y'all with our anthem song, our theme song, and We'll see y'all next month. Peace, and we out of here.
Peace. Peace and love. Wait for the beat to drop.
Yeah, I'm in the city here. I'm in the spot. In the vicinity. I'm the hottest in the city. Yeah, I'm from here. He's the one that was in the city. That invented that. Talking about Griots. West African. Speak out. Neo. Make it get about the apple like Nino. Fuck that switch. Let's face it, safe to the ancestors. Yeah. And now it's time to the form
Of a griot. In the form of a griot. Yeah.
LD.
Hey man, like we thought, man, that was good, bro. Like we knew it was gonna be.